Hi guys. Yeah, just a quick video to talk about something that happened in England. It's absolutely terrible. Three young girls were stabbed by some nutter. Yeah, I think afterwards there was a riot, and I think people wrongly accused Muslim people, and they started to attack a mosque. It's sad what happened, you know, to the mosque. And it was just, I think it was a mistake. But it's also the most important thing is it's sad what happened to those children. You know, the mosque can recover, the people with butt hurt feelings can recover, but those families will never have their daughters. Wow, if you think about it, that's so crazy. Three little girls, I think it's 6, 7, and 9 or something like that, lost their lives because one guy, went into the place where they would, I don't know, dance into the famous singer. I forgot her name. Well, anyway, they were doing some dancing lessons, and they say, I think they're going to bring up the excuse of mental health. Okay. All right. Yeah, there is mental health, and there's mental health, right? There's a difference between depression and schizophrenia. There's a massive difference. Initially, I was going to say, look, I've had mental health problems. I've had depression and anxiety, and I've been taking medication for 30 years. I would never do that. But then again, I've never had schizophrenia. Now, schizophrenia is like on the next level up here. This is depression and anxiety. This is schizophrenia. It can be horrible, dangerous. But still, you have to protect the lives of other people. The thing is, if they say it's a mental health problem, I can understand if the person, well, I don't understand schizophrenia, okay, so I can't talk. But the person had, went into a rage and wanted to just stab people, and they say, oh, it's a mental health problem. Let's lock him up. Let's give him medication, and just under the rug sort of thing. But it seems to be premeditated. It seems like he planned it from, I may be wrong, but he planned it from the beginning. So, I don't know. Can it still be linked to mental health? Well, obviously he's not normal. Something's wrong. Yeah, look who's talking, the person who's had depression for 20 years, for 30 years. But that's really crazy. What kind of mind can you have to go and slaughter children of 6, 7, and 9? He's going to fall under the banner of somebody mentally unstable. So I don't know. People are asking questions, and this has been happening. There was machete attacks in where was it, in Southend or somewhere, where groups of people were attacking each other. So anyway, going back to these poor girls, could you imagine these girls' families? They must be like, it's a death sentence. It's a life sentence for these. They had these three angels, these little girls. I can't even. I don't even want to go there, but I can't think. As a man, as a dad, you losing your daughter, one of your daughters, or anyway, maybe they only had one daughter. It's enough to make you go nuts. It really is enough to make you go absolutely nuts and want retribution and want revenge. So that's why afterwards, those people there, was it Stockport? Those people there in that town, of course they went mad, and they heard some reports, false reports, that I think the person was shouting Allah snack bar, and so yeah, they put two and two together and they got 10. they attack the mosque. So, and then the reports, like, it depends which newspaper or this newspaper you read online. Is it the Guardian, or probably a lefty one, said, I don't know, local residents clean up far right, what the far right, I don't know, rioters left behind. Those people are not far right. This is absolute BS. Those people are just normal people who got annoyed and, like, seeking revenge, basically, because 3 children were killed. Immediately they go onto the far right rant. But remember, 3 children were killed. 3 little girls were killed, stabbed, by this unprovoked, like, cowardly attack. So I was just thinking, imagine if I was there with my dogs. I would probably let my dogs chew him to pieces, and then I'd get in trouble because my dogs are racist or something, and my dogs would probably get put down. So what would you do in that situation? You got one guy stabbing children. I would let my dogs go. Just let them go, and they can dispose of the evidence. They can munch on his bones. No, but yeah, what a piece of. Anyway, yeah. So, what do you guys think of that? I mean, it's a horrible situation, especially for those poor families, those poor mums and dads. Now there's going to be funerals, with this tiny coffins of 3 angels, 3 little girls. It just makes me feel sad just thinking about yeah, and angry as well. When you see those pictures of those 3 girls, you want revenge. Initially, I know this is really unchristian of me. Forget about unchristian, but I just thought they should, whoever it was, I didn't know at the time who the hell it was. They should take him, I know it was a him, take him and string him up in public. I'll tell you, if those days came back, there wouldn't be any more. The crime level will certainly go down, because what's going to happen to this guy? What's going to happen to him is he's going to plead some mental illness, and then they're going to, because he's a juvenile, you can't even know his whereabouts, his name or anything. He's protected. But this has happened. This has happened for years, and you just know about these cases. There was a case where a similar thing happened just before I went to live in Wales. You want to go inside now? Yeah? Is it boring here? Okay, I'll go back in a minute. So there was a case where a lady, a similar name as one of the girls. I think it's not De Silva. I think it's Silva. So it sounds like a Portuguese name, but she was actually Italian, and a grandmother, an elderly woman in her 80s. Yeah, this guy. So what he was doing, he was, a few days before, he was cutting the heads off cats in the gardens. And, he was practicing, basically. And then what he did is, apparently, he stabbed this lady, and her. Could you imagine that gruesome scene? And so what I'm saying is, this has happened already many times. And that, what I just told you, that incident, have you ever heard of it? Nope, you probably haven't heard of it. I just saw it on the newspaper just before I went to live in Wales years ago. I went to live in Carnarvon. On the way there, and I saw it on the news in the paper. I thought, what the hell? And then afterwards, I checked it out online, because the woman was an Italian woman, a grandmother, and I saw the interview with the I think the niece. They were just distraught, the family. Yeah, so I did see some, like, videos about it today, and about multiculturalism, that it doesn't work. And okay, whether you say it doesn't, whether it works or not, there should be a discussion. But the thing is, there's a fear. Oh, you can't discuss that. Wasn't it Cameron, Lord Cameron, or David Cameron years ago said he stated multiculturalism doesn't work. So you can't have many cultures in one country. You have to try your best to have at least one culture. Otherwise, what happens is you're gonna have like Bradford, you're gonna have Birmingham, you're gonna have parts of London, all with different groups of people. It's like countries within a country. So you'll have a region that maybe English people or European people can't go into. You've got those places already. I mean, it's not that you legally can't go inside, but I assume people of a certain ethnic background don't feel safe going into that area. Probably parts of Brent where I used to live. If I go back there, I'll get culture shock. Yeah, I remember living in Kensal Rise, Kensal Green, that area, and we were just about to leave to go to come to Norwich when we sold a house, Norfolk, and it was one of the nights of the Notting Hill Carnival. It was hot. We were all in the car, the children and my wife, and we drove down a road, and we made a mistake. It was like where all the revelers were like no tops on, all drinking, like you can smell ganja everywhere. They threw bottles in front of the car. I had to do a 3-point turn. There was police. There was some traffic. There was police. I remember the police car flashed the car to move out the way because the sirens were on. They had to go to an emergency, and the black guys in front of the car, in the car in front, they got out of the car and they were complaining to the police. They were like bullying them. The police didn't say anything. I thought, this is absolute this is absolute chaos. This is hell. This is absolute hell, you know, where like basically all those guys, those men, they can come into my car, like kill me and my wife and children. I couldn't do anything about it. The police couldn't do anything about it. There were like hundreds of people. I'm saying if they wanted to. It was just horrible, man. And that's the day that I remember when I left London. Just the thought of going back to London, it just doesn't appeal to me, you know. It's not safe. The area where I used to live, that specifically that area in Kensal Green, I remember a few years before I left, there was an incident. There were many incidences. There was one time a lawyer, this is a famous one, he was a lawyer, a young lawyer, an English guy. He came back home and it was in the evening time, and two black guys were asking him for money. These guys got done, but they're probably out already. This must have been 10 or 15 years ago, actually, if you come to think about it. If they're not out, they're probably almost out. They asked him for money, and he did the right thing. Instead of giving them money, he put it on the floor, and so he started to leave. That wasn't enough. They chased him and they stabbed him to death. He gave the money to them, but maybe they didn't like the fact that he's a white, successful, you know, I don't know. Who knows? But, you know, maybe there was some racial element to it. You know, but you can't say that, can you? Well, you can say it. I think you should be able to say it. But, you know, there's no proof. But there's no proof otherwise as well. So, in my opinion, all human beings are capable of evil. And so to say that these black guys, for example, aren't capable of being racist, it doesn't make sense, because that's a kind of racist statement in itself. You're saying that these black guys are not human beings. They are human beings, and they're capable of evil. You know, one of these evils is racism, so they're capable of it. You know, yeah, maybe they saw this guy is really like, and that area started to become gentrified, so you had more English middle class families moving into that area. I'll tell you, there were loads of incidences like this. Not actual murders, but people being beaten up, and it never gets onto the news. Never, the local news, just a tiny bit. But if it's the other way around, like somebody says, something bad to maybe a black guy, boom, it's like, it's like, the first news. It's like they shout it from the rooftop for years. I don't have any like in the argument. I don't have any beef, whatever it's called in the argument. I don't have any because I know black guys, I know white guys. I try to be in the middle. I try to see every side. But a lot of black guys don't want to talk about this. They're embarrassed by it. They try to be good people. There are lots of good families, but you know, imagine if you're that person, a good black guy, and you see members of your community doing this stuff. Although it's a minority, it's a sizable minority. You feel embarrassed. What can you do? What can a black man do or a black woman do? Unfortunately, they are linked with this stuff, and they shouldn't be. I don't know. I'm just ranting because lots of people online are talking about, oh, it's the immigration's fault. It's a certain group of people that have a higher incidence of mental health. That might be the case. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And but nobody wants to talk about it for fear of this R word. And because of that, these problems will continue to arise. The problem that they want to avoid is like racism, or white people becoming racist. That's what they're going to fuel. They're going to fuel real racism. Like I don't know if what people think racism is now. That it's nothing compared to what real racism is, and unfortunately, that could be brewing underneath society. That even in England, you think England is really tolerant. Even in England, all these things that are happening, and especially immediately the police don't mention who it is. The media just are quiet about it. That kind of creates a situation where a lot of the white working class people are not going to trust the police, the government, and they feel that they're being maybe targeted and being like taken out one by one. And things like that could, and probably are, under the surface smoldering, and it's going to become a fire if the government and society are not careful. Then you'll see real racism when people start rising up, and God knows what they'll do. I don't want that, but also I don't want people like children being killed. There has to be like some kind of, that. And this is difficult to say, but the government have to be honest, and start talking about these things. Maybe if people who have newly arrived, they have to be vetted. Do they have mental health problems that could, can affect society? They can hurt people, commit crime? They have to be vetted. Why aren't they vetted? Why aren't they screened? Sorry, it's just something that I saw online. I saw so many videos about it, and I thought, my goodness. But going back to whatever they do now, it's too late. It's too late for those families, and it's too late for those 3 little girls. You can't do anything for them. Their lives are over. Who's going to fight for them? No one. The source of the problem has to be, whatever the source is, has to be dealt with. Okay, this guy is the source of the problem, but others will come. That's what people are saying online. They're saying others will come. There's a great quote. A person said something like, import a war zone. What could go wrong? So true. Import a war zone. What can go wrong? A lot can go wrong. But anyway, that's my rant today about those poor children passing away. Some people will say, no, he was killed, just a person who's got mental health problems. Don't put color into it. I'm not. I'm just like expressing the views of other people. Is there a more of a mental health problem in certain groups of people? Why do you ask that? Well, it's supposed to be that's a question that must be asked. If like lots of Italian people had mental health problems like schizophrenia, I would want to know. I wouldn't like hide from it. I would want to know. But you can't ask questions again because you'll be thrown the guilt card, the usual guilt cards, So, and I think that's what's going to destroy society. The fear of being called a bad name, and so nothing gets done. Nothing ever will get done until people, in a way, rise up and say no more bullying with these bloody guilt cards. We shouldn't have any fear of speaking up. Maybe politely and, not aggressively, but you should be able to ask certain questions. Who are you letting into the country? Do they have mental health problems? And if there are people of certain communities that have higher rates of mental health problems, designate more money, help them. Don't allow them to bloody be in the street with all these bloody thoughts. I said, there was a guy the other day. Was it the other day when I went to the supermarket? He's a white guy, right? He was off his nut. I was walking through the gluten-free section. I was thinking, oh yeah, and then I saw him from the corner because my awareness is super sharp. I saw him from the corner of my eye. He had a dress on, right? Oh, hairy legs, a dress, like a see-through dress until he got to his boxer shorts. He had like a pink T-shirt or whatever. He wasn't trans. He wasn't gay. He was off his head. He was walking down the aisle. Oh yes, oh yes. Oh, this some kind of bloody language. And then he was quiet again. And then he was walking down the aisle, grabbing something and laughing. And then he continued walking. This guy was off his head. I don't know. Did he actually buy anything? Because I don't think he would make it to the cashiers before the security guard said that. Oh, actually, there wasn't a security guard that day, because sometimes they don't. Some periods they don't have a security guard. Isn't the government doing anything looking after this guy? His poor guy, his mental health. And I tell you, when I saw this guy and he walked past me, my main thought was, this guy could kill me. This guy was bigger than me, bigger arms. He could bloody strangle me if he wants to. And then, care in the community. He was under the Mental Health Act or whatever. They'll protect him. And my life would have been gone for nothing. Not the guy's fault because he's got problems, right? But, at that point, I'm not going to care about if he's got problems or not. I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to attack his throat or something because, I'm smaller than him. But it makes you think, if you're a woman or a child, when a guy bigger than you and stronger than you, approaches you or even doesn't approach you, then they're a bit drunk or they're a bit nutty. It is frightening. It's frightening. It must be frightening for a person who's weaker. Like, I know I'm weaker than that guy because he's bigger than me. You can see he's young, stronger, maybe 22, 25, with a little bit of a beard and his eyes. Yeah, it makes you feel really vulnerable, So that's another thing, like mental health. The government, I don't think, do much for people when it comes to mental health. They should check everybody who's on even antidepressants, on medication. They can check them once a month and say, how are you doing? Even, I don't know, on the phone, or like, my GP doesn't give a shit. I've been on medication for 30 years and no one has ever asked me, would you like to come off the medication? No, they just give me prescription medication and that's it. And I have asked for help. For years I've asked for help. In the 90s, I got help with some kind of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, some basic therapy that you know it's just so basic. It's rubbish, really. Um, I had 5 sessions of it. I can't even remember what the guy said. Something about disrupting negative thoughts. It's just so bloody basic, and it doesn't take into account, the chemical, um, like serotonin and stuff like that. When you're depressed, you're depressed. You can't break into this swirl of thought. Yeah, and they gave me some old photocopied papers. You can see they're old photocopied rubbish, and they left me. That's the only time I got help for, what is it, 20 years or something, like 20 years? Maybe 10 years ago in London, I tried again. Same bloody thing. They gave me like some photocopied sheets, and they said, "This is what we have to offer. Go and take your medication." When the NHS, people defend the NHS, and the NHS is great, but when it comes to mental health, it's absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. 30 years, they just medicated me. They haven't offered me anything. So unless you have money and you pursue your own healing, you look for a psychotherapist, you look for, other kind of therapies, you're screwed. You're just locked into the system. Medicate. If something bad happens to you or you go nuts, the police will come for you. There's nothing. There's nothing available. I think, I don't know, the government should spend money and time on people who have mental health problems, and make sure, they don't do stuff like this. It's all around. It's a disaster. But yeah, going back to these children, imagine those parents, those mothers and fathers. I don't know if you guys are parents. If you guys aren't parents, you guys don't know what hell that mother or father must be going through. It's enough for some parents to top themselves. Honestly, it's that bad. Like your child, the child that you brought up for 8 years or 9 years or whatever, it's just the life has just been taken away. It's like part of your heart has gone. So, I'm not a good Christian, but I'll pray for these children tonight and pray for their families that now they're going to have to bear they have to go through mourning, the bereavement for years and years. They're never going to get over it because some coward, some nutter, or whatever he is, decided to um, execute them. That's what they did because they couldn't fight back. I think they were there with their mums at some kind of class. Women can't fight back. Then they'll talk all about equality, all this BS about equality. A woman can't fight back against a man with a knife. Even a 17-year-old boy, they can't fight back. So there should be some men there, some bloody, I don't know, security guards or something to stop this from happening. Yeah, it's a sad day, and it's affected me. You know, it's affected me. I didn't think I would be affected. As soon as I saw those 3 little girls, the faces, and they do it on purpose, obviously, to show their faces and to get some emotion. And I just started tearing up. I thought, oh, if the if those are my kids, I don't know. See, so I'm grateful those weren't my kids. That's why I want to live away from people, away. So I live in a 6 acre. Oh, you live in 6 acres? Yeah, I live in a 6 acre in the middle. Is the, my In the middle of the plot, and that's a buffer zone away from any people. If any person comes near, like within a few hundred meters of where I live, I know about it, and because the dogs will tell me. I don't know if I would be able to live in well, I can't live in a city now with all these dogs. But imagine living in a terraced house and people I can't live in what, to be honest, I can't live in a ghetto anymore, and like in London, and it's not racist. I know black people who have left, like when I, and feel exactly the same. They don't want to be around any bloody stabbings. They don't want to be around nutters. They don't want to be around noise. There was a lady, a black lady, who left Birmingham. You know, she was, you know, in one of those ghetto areas, and she went to work. No, she went to live in Devon. And I met her because I was going there to look for a house, and I said, "Oh, you know, what's it like here in this village here? Because you know, I'm thinking of coming here because I have a Chinese wife and mixed race kids, you know." And she said, "Oh, it's absolutely wonderful." She said, "I came here many years ago, and she said I'm one of the only black people here." And she said, "I'm fine with it. Everyone has been nice to me. I've never had any racism. Nobody look at me badly. People treat me nice." And she said, "I feel much more at home here than the place where I was. And the place where I was, there were lots of black people, Asian, all different color races of people. But I feel more safer here and at home. I've never been treated bad." And when she told me that, I thought, oh, wow. It was such a lovely story. You know, a small kind of village, yeah. Yeah, and I thought, oh, that was really nice. So, like, even black people want to leave. These people that don't want to be part of a bloody ghetto. Nobody wants to live in a ghetto. So I don't think I can go and live in London or even Norwich. I think is too much. There's too many people there. Yeah, so I don't know what you guys think. You know, it's a really, how do you say, divisive? It's a subject that divides people and polarizes people. I don't want to do that. I've just said some things, and some of the things that I said might be wrong. So I'm sorry, and you know, forgive me if I've offended you guys. I'm just imagine like I'm in a pub and I'm just drunk and I'm just talking BS. You know, just talking out of my arse. We should be allowed to say these things, you know, and then be corrected. If I say, for example, I don't know, people from a certain minority commit more of these crimes because they've got more schizophrenia, then it's okay if I'm wrong. I've heard that from other people, and from what I see, that may be the case. And all I'm saying is not just to make that statement, for example. I'm saying, okay, how can we fix that? How come, if it's true, then shouldn't the government like have like funding to help these people so they don't get in trouble? That's what I'm saying. I'm not just blaming people without having a kind of solution for it, or solution. You can't say that. Okay. How do you call it? Resolve the problem, you know, have an answer, not solution, answer, right? So anyway, yeah, I'm trying to smile, but it's not funny. Not this racism BS, but those 3 children, you know, and the 3 families now, for the rest of their life, they're going to suffer. I hate seeing these bloody stories. But anyway, what do you guys think about it? And what is the solution? What is the answer to all this? 1, mental health, you know, more funding for mental health and to check on people who come in who have bloody mental health problems or are radicalized or whatever. 2, some people say stop the boats, but it's so stupid, because if you stop the boats, then you're stopping illegal immigration, but illegal immigration is like this, and legal immigration is this, you know. I don't know. Maybe there should be a cap on immigration, and then, you know, when you come in, you should maybe make a statement that say you're not a criminal. You just you know, you want to do best for this country. I don't know, just pledge allegiance or something. I don't know. All right. Anyway, enough rambling. Let me know what you think, guys, about this terrible event and how it can be solved. Maybe it can't be solved. Maybe it's just one of those things that every once in a while, nutters like this will go out and do these things. Again, you know, my thoughts are with the families, those 3 little girls that passed away. Anyway, see you guys.